Before I jump into the main review today, I just want to say thank you for everybody who participated in the polls that I had going last week about whether or not I should bring back reviews. And overall, that was a lot of fun to see happen. And just thank you for all in participating. And without further ado, let's jump right into the review. The Nintendo GameCube was the very first game console me and my brother shared together. And with that, we had a few games at the time. I was only about 4 years old when I started playing video games, and I don't really have a ton of memories of some of the games that I played when I was that young. The only one that really comes to mind is the Cars movie tie-in game, if you remember the Disney Pixar movie Cars. It was horrible, and maybe someday I'll review it, but that was the very first game I remember playing. But the second game was LEGO Star Wars. Growing up, we didn't have a ton of money to spend on Legos, and I was a huge Star Wars fan, and we didn't really have access to the VHS tapes or the DVDs for the prequel trilogy, which was, at the time, only had recently ended, Revenge of the Sith releasing in about 2005. And that same year, but of course after the fact, sometime in October, the first LEGO Star Wars, the video game, first released. And it was my only real way of interacting with a franchise that I had only recently come in contact with and was wanting more and more content. Initially, that manifested in getting Legos. And as I mentioned before, we weren't so wealthy that I couldn't have zero Lego, but I didn't get to enjoy Lego to nearly the capacity I do these days. So at the time, I had a few battle packs and this game. We managed to pick it up used at GameStop about 2007, and that was the first time I got to seriously play and fully complete a game. Like I said before, the only other game I played to that point was the Cars movie game, which wasn't very good. So this is my experience with a full, real, honest-to-God video game. And because of that, it does hold a lot of nostalgia and sentimental value. Either way though, this is a very important game to me, and it was actually one of the most integral games in the actual LEGO game franchise. It really started to kick off the modern generation of LEGO video games. It was sort of the impetus for all games that would come after, because prior to this, we mostly had games like LEGO Island, LEGO Racers. It wasn't tied to a theme, it was core LEGO stuff, and I'll be honest, the games that came out before LEGO Star Wars really weren't for me. They just weren't particularly engaging, or I'll be honest, very bad. So going back and playing an older LEGO game like this wasn't all that hard to actually adjust to. Yes, it's radically different when it comes to some of the newer LEGO Star Wars games like LEGO Star Wars Force Awakens and LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, but if you're mostly sort of hung out around the other LEGO themes like LEGO Indiana Jones, LEGO Batman, it's not wholly different from those brands. And at the end of the day, they still share a lot in common. So it's not really hard to make the switch over to an older game like this, which originally released in October of 2005. When it comes to gameplay, it is your standard LEGO game of fare. You're solving puzzles, solving platforming obstacles, and generally having a lot of LEGO fun. Talking about the story is interesting because it is just the Star Wars movies, so yeah, it's kind of self-explanatory. Each mission is directly tied to a scene or a portion of the corresponding movie. It's broken down into 3 episodes, episode 1, 2, and 3, corresponding which it has a series of levels, which at the end essentially culminates to you playing the entire movie. And like I said before, as a kid who didn't have access to the DVDs or the VHS tapes of these movies, this was my only way to keep experiencing the movies and the story itself over and over and over again. A few highlights for me was in episode 1, there was an entire mission dedicated to the pod racing track, which was so much fun. It was really tough for me at 4 or 5 years old, but I eventually beat it and it became one of my favorite levels that me and my brother played together. My other favorite mission was the first mission of Revenge of the Sith. Being able to fly around in space in the Jedi Interceptors was amazing, and that initial mission led you directly into fighting Count Dooku and that entire mission on the Invisible Hand, which was amazing. One of my favorite missions I ever played. When it comes to things you progress through the game, as you play the game and beat more levels, you unlock free play, allowing you to go back and replay each level with any character you have unlocked so far. At the end of each level of your first playthrough, you unlock that episode's or mission's characters to add to your roster for you to play whenever you want during free play. There are some minor collectibles throughout the series, mainly mini kits, which essentially are minor collectibles, like about 3 of them in each level. In later versions of the game, you have things like red bricks, but those are not in this game. Those were a later addition in LEGO Star Wars 2, I believe, and then finally added to the prequels during the complete saga. One of my favorite things to do was run around Dexter's Diner, run out into Coruscant, and see all the ships that you build through the progress of the game. The more 100% complete you get, the more finished ships you'll see for the corresponding levels in chapters. I think that is so incredibly cool, and it was one of the things I would love to do and spend my time just looking at, because they were such amazing models and things that I wish I had in real life. I wanted to build those Lego sets. In retrospect though, it was kind of just a giant marketing engine for kids to play this game and love it, and then see the sets that they wanted to have in real life, go to the store, beg their parents, I really want this Lego set. And then it's sort of like a perpetuating loop of kids seeing in the game, wanting in real life, and so on and so forth. So for that, it was actually really good at it. When it comes to bugs in this game, I don't really see them as an issue. I didn't experience any, first of all, when it comes to playing the game. And bugs generally in this era are mostly used as shortcuts for speedrunning and stuff like that. Most of the time, you didn't have a game-breaking bug that completely ruined your experience. That was very rare at this time, whether that's because games only released when they were finished, or games were overall easier to develop for at the time, so that just left less room overall for bugs to appear. One thing I think that has aged remarkably well actually was the visuals. When playing it on the GameCube and playing it on the PC version, the game looks fantastic, whether that's blown up to my 4K TV through an HDMI to AV adapter, or being played natively on PC. I think the game still looks fantastic. The cloth physics on the cape looks remarkably realistic, all things considered, seeing how cape physics came a long way since then, and it still looks pretty good to this day. The chrome and overall metal aesthetic found at Dexter's Diner still looks so fantastic. As a kid, I was thinking like, this is so realistic, but it's just done remarkably well. The music too, for that fact, is also fantastic. It generally uses a ton of the music from the Star Wars movies, which would make sense. It's a Star Wars video game, and for that, it still sounds absolutely fantastic. So no wonder the music was so well done, because it's just most of the stuff from the movies. The one major downside with this game, it doesn't feel complete. It is a really short game. You can burn through this in about 3 or 4 hours. And if you're dedicated, there's been speedruns of this game that can go as short as like 2 or 1.5 hours if you're utilizing bugs and stuff. So I'm not too surprised that this game has been so supplanted by its later contemporaries, that being the complete saga, which overall just felt like more of a, pardon the pun, more complete overall experience. There are minor differences between the LEGO Star Wars video game and the version you see inside the complete saga. For the most part, they have pretty much the same levels, but the complete saga has a couple extra levels added in, and there are a few changes inside the levels, some might say for the worse, but I grew up playing both of them, and I personally couldn't really tell the difference, but apparently there are some, so it's important to note. To me though, there is one major downside. They took away Yoda's hovering chair. It was so cool, and now they've replaced him with him walking. It's just not nearly as fun as the hover chair. Another of my favorite levels to play with my brother was Obi-Wan and Yoda going back to the Jedi Temple, going to the Jedi Archives, seeing the cutscene of where Obi-Wan and Yoda see the hologram of Anakin cutting Shaak Ti in 3 pieces in Lego was honestly hilarious. I say all that because Yoda in that had his hover chair, and it made playing as Yoda so much fun, and it's one of the few things that I do really miss when I go and play the complete saga. But as I said before, the complete saga does include episodes 4, 5, and 6, so it's just overall a more complete experience. It also is longer to play, being about 5 to 6 hours if you're just going at your own pace, enjoying the overall experience and not trying to speedrun it. So if you wanted something to actually sit down and really sink your teeth into, the complete saga, also just generally being more available might be the way to go. But to me, the childhood nostalgia in the Yoda and his hover chair, which is a lot of fun, is just all the reasons all you need to go back to play my original GameCube version of LEGO Star Wars the video game. I would highly recommend anybody to check this game out, especially with how easy it is to emulate GameCube games these days, whether you're on a PC or you're on an Android or device or whatever. It is one of the first games I always test because it's one of the games that I'm just most intimately familiar with, and if the game is not running good, I can very easily tell. I would love to hear what you guys think though. This is my very first game review in a very long time. If you have any tips and suggestions or any games you would like me to check out in the future. Next week will be a new game from the last handful of years, so stay tuned for that and more. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. All those social media coverage down below. And last but not least, if you want to buy this game, check out the affiliate link down below. That would help the channel out a lot. And last but not least, have a wonderful day. Thank you.